Monday, May 18th, you're watching the Sick Podcast. Trust the process. Well, folks, tonight, Game 7. Montreal, Buffalo, in Buffalo. Will the Habs be able to avenge that ugly loss on Saturday? Time will tell. We're going to discuss the series as a whole, maybe some standout players who maybe should have done a little more. We're going to break it all down. We're also going to talk about the CHL playoffs, because it's Memorial Cup time, baby. We know the 4 teams. We're going to talk about them and which team stands the better chance of lifting the trophy. Of course, the World Championships are underway, and there's 2 players on Team Sweden that are catching our attention. I think you know who we're talking about. We also have 3 great mailbag questions ready in the queue. It's going to be a fun show. It all starts right here, right now.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Trust the process. The sickest NHL prospect podcast with Snake and Shayne.
With the 5th overall selection in the 2024 NHL Draft, the Montreal Canadiens are proud to select Ivan Demidov.
It's gonna be sick.
Welcome in, everybody, to the Sick Podcast. Trust the process. Producer Shayne here. Simon the Snake Boisvert joining me as always. Snake, how are we feeling today?
Doing great and working on a holiday.
Yeah, that's it. Listen, no days off here. No days off here. Someone got to talk to Samian in yellow here. Help us help us get a bargaining agreement.
I'm off for Mathias and Serpent, by the way, because we usually record on Monday afternoon, but we will be recording on Tuesday. So the podcast will be out on Wednesday. For those listening to both, I'm just letting them know that no worries. There will be a Mathias and Serpent podcast on Wednesday morning.
There you go. And you'll be able to recap Game 7.
Yeah,
but we're going to preview it here. Yeah.
Either it's going to be an analysis of the Habs season or an analysis of the Carolina Hurricanes Habs match.
We're hoping for the latter, but Snake, this series, okay? Montreal Buffalo. Listen, we knew coming into this was going to be a really fun series. Both teams are young and quote unquote unexperienced in the playoffs. There was going to be ups and downs. There was going to be a lot of exciting plays, fast hockey, skilled hockey. For the most part, that's what we've gotten. But I don't think anybody could have predicted how unpredictable this series has been, Snake. It's all over the place. This thing, it makes no sense.
Well, one thing is sure. In the case of the Buffalo Sabres goaltending situation, at the beginning of this series, we knew that it could be problematic. And it has been, but what reinforces my theory that for many goalies, and I'm not talking about the elite ones, but for many goalies, trying to predict, how goaltending will turn out is absolutely impossible. Because if you look at that series, you have UPL, then you have Lyon, then UPL comes back, and Lyon comes back, and he's bad, and then UPL saves the day. It's crazy. I think they're going with UPL tonight.
They have to. Lyon let in 3 goals on 3 shots.
Yeah, but he was bad a couple of games ago, that UPL guy. So, look, it's totally unpredictable, and it makes for a fun show. But to be honest with you, I love goal scoring. I love offense and, fast-paced games. So in a sense, I prefer a series like Montreal-Buffalo to Montreal-Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Where there was basically no space on the ice.
Tight.
However, I'm not crazy about the bad goaltending. So if there's going to be like a 6-5 game, I don't want 11 bad goals to come in.
Yeah. Let's skill plays.
Yeah. So, but, so far 2 different series. More, I wouldn't call them necessarily blowouts, but more games that were not as tight.
No.
As the Tampa Bay series, but I don't think when the Habs scored the 3rd goal on Saturday, they were playing at home. I don't think many people thought that there was going to be a Game 7.
No. Listen, that Saturday game was just nonsense. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. Buffalo scores 30 seconds into the game. And you're like, oh, well, here we go. Game 7 it is, right? It's not looking good. And then the Habs score 3 on 3 shots. And you're like, well, no game 7. This is it. And then Buffalo Sabres score 7 unanswered goals. And you're like, well, yeah, no, there will be a game 7. So here we go.
You know how in tennis with the tiebreaker, you have to win by 2. And I don't know, a few years ago, there was a game that went on like 60-58. I think it took like hours and hours and hours. I have the feeling that the Buffalo Montreal series, if it were like the type of series where you have to win 2 more games than the opponent,
nope,
we'd still be playing in August.
Bink, 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 bink. Snake, the thing that catches my attention and maybe confuses me a little bit is the performance of the home team, especially in this series. It seems to be a disadvantage to be playing at home. I don't understand. The Habs have won once at home. The Buffalo Sabres have won once at home in this series. That's it. The road team has been the dominant team every time, almost. How can you even begin to explain that?
Have players been asked that question?
I don't know.
Because from an observer's point of view, it's very hard to try and find out what it could be. It's not a first, by the way. It's not a first because the home team doesn't always win.
Yeah.
But in this case, in this series, it seems worse than it actually should be. Some might say that the crowd is very loud and basically very cheerful, and basically it puts too much pressure on the home team. But, does that theory make sense? I don't know.
I don't buy into that. It's Snake. I mean, it's 2 of the best atmospheres in the league. Yeah. Like Montreal in the playoffs, I don't think can be beaten. Yeah. And Buffalo's got a great atmosphere as well. Mm-hmm. And neither team can get it going at home. It's really curious. But regardless, I look at game 6 specifically. Snake, it's hard for me to say that there aren't injured players on the team. There are some guys that are looking complete shells of themselves. And it's not like they're horrible or anything. It's just you can tell they're not able to give it 100%. Do you think there are quite a few injured players? Because we've seen like the Philadelphia Flyers, right? When they released the injury list after
it was crazy.
The series. Oh, my God. I mean, Owen Tippett had internal bleeding. Cutter Gauthier played with a broken back. Mm-hmm. He broke his spine.
Yeah.
So, listen, this is another testament to how tough the hockey players are. But I mean, you have to think there's a lot of injured players in this series.
Yeah, and that's why it's a blessing for Carolina and Colorado to have had that much rest in the playoffs. They only played 8 games.
My goodness.
Buffalo will have played 13. Montreal will have played 14.
Yeah.
And Vegas, I think, had 12 games or 13 games, whatever. So it's a big advantage because of this. Because I think every team has injured players in the playoffs. Every team is banged up. But if you get a week to 10 days rest in between series and you play less games, well, chances are you're going to feel better, unless you have a broken ankle. But, that's a different story. But the Gauthier situation is absolutely amazing because he was good.
He was fantastic. He
is a tough guy. And it's funny because in his draft year, I was hearing, there were rumblings that his attitude or whatever behavior was not top notch, he was not really a team player. And okay, I honestly, to me, when I heard that about a 17-year-old, I didn't really care. All I saw was a tenacious, talented hockey player, and I liked him a lot. I ranked him number 2 that year. And I'm very happy about how it turned out because he was also demonized when he said he was going to sign in Philly. Look, the guy has been great.
It's been great. Yeah, it's the Ducks, man. They're going to go far. Not this year. They're out, but pretty soon.
I like the Ducks. Fun team to watch.
Absolutely. Snake, I'd like to key in on a few Habs players here.
Yes.
We've talked globally, the team as a whole. It's been a really weird series, but there's one player, Snake, that hasn't played in this series. And I think if you'd told that to people before the playoffs, they would have been a little surprised. Oliver Kapanen has only played 4 playoff games so far, the fourth being the first 4 against Tampa, and he's been scratched ever since. Obviously, he didn't do anything in those 4 games and really hasn't done anything since the Olympics. Since coming back from the Olympics, it's been really, really rough for him. He has the lowest on-ice expected goals for per 60 among forwards. That's a stat I just found. I thought that was really telling. Like, for a player who scored 22 goals and should be a second line, was in the second line center role and should be driving some offense, he was the lowest. He was the lowest, right? So what do you make of the decision to obviously not having him in the lineup and the long-term outlook for him with the Canadiens?
Okay. Well, I think most listeners know what I thought of Oliver Kapanen in last year and in training camp. I didn't really see an NHL player. So the fact that he scored 22 goals made me look pretty bad. However, the last month or so, he was pretty invisible. So I can understand that this continued in the playoffs. I also think that if you look at the 22 goals that he scored, so Habs fans who watch all games or every highlight reel will see the kind of goal that he scored. He was very opportunistic. He has a very good shot, but he always needed someone to make a fantastic play for him. But he was always left alone in front of the net for some reason. So he's probably very good at that. Mm-hmm. So he's not a player without qualities, far from that. But he does need a lot of help to be able to produce. But the problem is, when you're talking second line, you need play drivers, especially at center.
Yeah.
And the problem, again, with a type of guy like this is that if he doesn't produce, let's say 30, 35 goals or more on a top 6, he's kind of a liability. Then if he goes to the bottom 6 and he becomes a winger, let's say, that's probably more like where he should play, a third line winger. But then again, how many goals would he score? Because obviously when you play on the third line, you're not going to have the same type of quality centerman as you do when you play on the top 6. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to tell what kind of future that he has, because I think he probably can surf on this 22-goal season for a couple of years. And can he be trade bait? If he is, pro scouts, they watch his games.
Yeah.
I think they know who he is, but the 22 goals really pop up as a rookie. So that could help the Habs in negotiations to include him in a package. Now, about this series, why didn't he play? I'm kind of surprised he didn't play. Because first of all, it's not like that every Habs player was great. And the Habs lost 3 games, so there were opportunities to make changes. And honestly, in that wide open style, who knows if he could not have scored maybe 1 or 2 goals. And, 1 or 2 goals in 6 games is important. So I can understand against Tampa Bay not playing him. Yeah. I could understand against Carolina not playing him. But against Buffalo, I think he probably, not probably, but I think he could have helped.
Yeah.
This is a guy who can play 82 games, and you can't hope for this guy to be good for 82 games and be a play driver. But I think he's what I call a situational player.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Snake, I've seen a lot of fans, and Tony was talking about it on his show as well. Why not put him in the lineup for Game 7, right? And it's an idea that's been floated around a lot. Now, the concern that I have is that he hasn't played since Game 4.
That's the thing. It's been 2 weeks now.
First round. He's cold.
Yeah,
he's cold, and this
it's too late now.
Piping hot.
It's too late. It's too late. Yeah.
So I would have to disagree with the notion of putting him in for Game 7. I think, like you, if you were to have put him in, it would have been Game 1 of the Buffalo series.
Or two.
That's it.
After
Early
the
on,
first loss. After the first loss, let's
get
say.
him in the groove. Get him in the groove.
Yeah, and then you play it by ear. I mean, they interchange other players. I think he could have been part of the rotation, let's call it.
Yeah.
And if he really, really plays like 2 games in a row where he's absolutely invisible, then you know what? You put him back to in the in the press box, and that's it. I mean, you close the books.
Yeah.
And so I think right now, if the Habs win tonight, unless there's a rash of injuries, I don't think you're going to see him again.
No. You know, the second line is really interesting because that was a concern for a lot of people heading into the playoffs. There was a lot of, uncertainty with it. Will Kapanen show up? Because he hadn't shown up in the last month of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to be the winger? Is it still going to be Newhook? Are they going to put Slav in there? So, for the last few games, the Habs have went with Jake Evans. If we go back to the start of the season, we tell you Jake Evans was going to be the second line center. Oh boy, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
It's turned out, Snake, it's turned out well. He had 2 points last game.
I know.
Alex Newhook's on fire. Ivan Demidov. Okay, we're going to talk about him because he's shown up now.
Yes.
He's here, right?
Yes.
We did a show not too long ago asking people, should you be worried about Demidov in the playoffs? Our conclusion was no, you shouldn't. Anybody who listened isn't surprised to see him perform now. Those who didn't, probably pretty happy. But that second line, like, again, if you bring Kapanen in, he's not going to go on that second line. He's going to take probably Veleno's spot, you'd have to assume. And when he's been in the bottom 6 role, it's not been good at all. So, no, I'm with you there. It's too late. Stay with the same lineup. Okay, Demidov. We have to get to Demidov because I know that's what people want to hear. We got to talk about him because, listen, he's getting better every single playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people were saying, oh, boy, like, look at what Seneca's doing, right? They're the same age. Why isn't he doing what Seneca's doing? He's kind of doing it now. Here he is.
I think that, I understand when, analysts and journalists and observers, they have to analyze it on a game-by-game basis. Otherwise, you do one show per month.
That's it.
So I do understand. But when you really think about it, I think you can't use a small sample size of like 5 games or 6 games or 3 games to basically make a judgment on someone's career. And there's a tendency to do that a lot. We see it during the regular season with the Habs. A guy has like 2-3 good games in a row. Oh, give him $5 million a year.
Yeah.
A guy has like 3-4 bad games. Send him to Laval. I think the way to analyze all this is you always have to look at where the player is at in his career. Ivan Demidov is a rookie. I know Beckett Seneca is a rookie. He's even a little bit younger than Demidov in the sense of hockey years because Demidov was playing his 20-year-old season. But not every player develops exactly at the same exact pace.
Yeah.
In 3 years from now, will Demidov be better than Seneca? It's very possible that he's going to be better than Seneca. Doesn't mean that Seneca is not going to be good. No, I just think that Demidov is going to be better. So you can't make this kind of analysis, like head-to-head analysis based on one game last night and one game the other night, and gets tiring. Even during the regular season, personally, I like to look at quarters for players. Basically, the first 20 games, it's a long training camp. It's the extension of training camp.
That's it.
And that's why you're going to see some players overperform, and then they pretty much fade out. Or you're going to see players that haven't really started yet, especially sometimes veteran players, but then they get back into the groove at some point. Then another 20 game mark where play starts becoming more like NHL games and not training camp. Then there's that kind of like the dead period of the season, January, February, before trade deadline. It's kind of like, oof, okay. When are the playoffs approaching? When are the real battles for playoff spots gonna heat up? And then the last 20 games.
Yeah.
So that's how I break down the season. Then the playoffs, I think the more a team plays games, the more you can analyze a player. If you get ousted in 4 games in the first round, oh, this guy wasn't good. Okay, well, that's just 4 games.
Clearly no one was, yeah.
Because you see it in baseball too. I mean, when a team reaches the World Series, some guys are going to be bad in the opening round, but then the second round they're going to be good. Then in the championship series they're not good. Then they get to the World Series and they're good. So you have to look at the end. Okay, they went to bat maybe 70 times. Okay, what's the average? So I think it's the same thing with hockey players. The Habs will have a 14 or anywhere between 18 and 21 games. Who knows? If they win tonight, to really assess how the players were in the playoffs and not just based on, okay, he was good for 2 games, he was bad for 2 games. I don't know what you think, but I know we have to do like a daily analysis of players, but we shouldn't interpret anything before the dust has settled down and that we have a bigger sample to say, okay, this guy in the playoffs this year, like you look at Cole Caulfield, he's played 13 games so far. Okay, it's kind of concerning. I mean, is it the style of play? Is he injured? Is he more of a regular season player for XYZ reasons? I don't know, but we'll see. Maybe he'll score the winning goal tonight, and everything will be forgotten.
yeah, that's it. Listen, the Demidov discussion and even the Caulfield one, it's really interesting to me, Snake, because, you take a look at Demidov, right? As a whole, it's been okay, respectable playoffs for a rookie.
Yeah.
But again, I kind of look at it on a game-by-game basis, and I see an improvement every single game.
That's important.
Like every game, he's getting better and better and better. So that to me is very telling, right? When the getting gets tougher, he gets tougher, right? So again, I have nothing but praise for this player. And interesting enough, I was looking at the advanced stats for Habs players in the playoffs as a whole so far. He has the highest on ice expected goals for per 60 at a 5.39 of the entire team. So that means that when he's on the ice, some things are happening. And defensively, it also means he's not a liability.
Exactly.
So I think that stat is really telling. I like that stat a lot. He's first, Kapanen's last. Again, make of that what you will. You need the eye test to go hand in hand with the stats. I'm a firm believer in that. But again, that does paint a good picture. Another player, Snake, that I could talk for hours about this guy, Lane Hutson.
Yeah.
Look, Dobesh aside, right? If we're only talking skaters, I think he's been the best player for the Canadiens in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
And, I think there was still some people, for some reason, who were maybe concerned or doubted what he could do in the playoffs, right?
Me.
Really?
Yeah.
You even after what he's done in the last 2 regular seasons.
I think concern is probably a strong word, but I would say it was the last box I needed to check.
Okay.
And you know what?
Question mark.
I said the same thing about Quinn Hughes. I said the same. Every smaller defenseman, I always need to take that box last.
That's fair. Is it tick now?
Yeah.
Snake, he's been unbelievable. And I think the main concern was regarding, the physicality and the pace of play, right? It's in your face. You got no room to maneuver. And against Tampa, look, they did a good job with him. He still prevailed, but Tampa really suffocated him. Buffalo's letting him loose. He's making them pay, Snake.
Exactly.
Listen, this guy shows up for the big games. He's not afraid of the moment. That's a major check mark. Again, if we want to talk about check marks,
his stamina is incredible.
He does it relentless.
Usually one concern I have about smaller players is not just the physicality of the game. And the same goes for pitchers in baseball who are like 5'9", 5'10". Most of them don't get drafted at all. Because the concern is always that these guys get tired faster.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? It's true. Whenever I played sports, in high school or later in life, I'm a 5'7" guy.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you, my 6'3", 6'4" teammates, as the games went on, whatever we were playing, they had more energy than I did at the end of the game. But at the beginning of the game, I had lots of energy. And sometimes you'll see in hockey, smaller players, October, November, December, they're going to be on fire. And then, they start fading away as the season progresses. And it's not just the physicality of the game. It's the fact that, you get tired more easily. This Lane Hutson is the exception to the rule. He does not get tired. Okay, he had the Olympic break, but come on. I mean, this is just a couple of weeks. So I mean, the motor that he has, he goes up and down. And a friend of mine was telling me Saturday, he goes, look at this guy. He goes up, then he comes back. He goes up again.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the Energizer bunny.
The energy, but also the compete level is what stands out, because I try to key in on him on puck battles, right? I want to see how he does on puck battles, board battles.
Yeah.
Man, I wouldn't want to be a forward when he's on the ice. And it's crazy to think, because you're like, wow, short guy, I'll just pummel him through the boards, right? He's so elusive. He's good with his stick, takes the puck away. I love his defending style. I think that's something he doesn't get enough credit for. He's a relentless defender, and he's shutting down the opposition really well.
What's hard mentally is that it's the focus.
Mm-hmm.
Because every time you have to think the game the way he does, because let's face it, he's a small guy. He's found tricks over the years to avoid checks. That's normal.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you lose focus for a second, boom, it doesn't happen. So obviously this guy is so focused. He's so dedicated.
Yeah.
That's what they call complete level. And you wish, when you scout junior players, you wish that every player was so focused, dedicated, and had that complete level, because some players are so frustrating to watch.
Oh, yeah.
But, it's their personality. You can't go against someone's personality. And that's why when I hear, he has to improve his complete level. Look, it's part of your personality usually. It's
hard to do that.
I don't really believe that it's something that you can improve the way you can improve, certain things, about, I don't know, your wrist shot, by practicing hours and hours, with compete level. If I don't see the compete level at age 17, when players are physically in top shape, it's just that it's not in their DNA.
No.
But this guy has it, and I'm curious to see how his career will unfold, because he's just 22. Let's say he plays till, I want to see, is he going to play till his late 30s? How is he going to be? How is he going to adjust? It's kind of a fascinating career to follow, because like I said last year, I had never seen a player like him. So he was very hard to categorize.
An outlier. That's
because
all he is.
Smallish defenseman, usually it's a prototype.
Yeah.
You see a smallish defenseman, and we talk about it a lot, on our show. The guys in the American Hockey League, we always wonder, are they going to make it? They're good. They got 70 points this year. They got 6 points. Yeah, but they're smallish. Okay, well, what does smallish mean, really? So what it means is that it's a stereotype that does exist. And most of them, when they reach the NHL, they don't have what Hutson has.
No. Simple as that.
It's as simple as that, because any puck mover who can skate will reach the American Hockey League usually. But very often that's where it stops.
Yeah, you need that other level. Few have that other level.
Yeah, the
Blaine
Sharks
Hutson
have
has
two
that
of
other
them
level.
for the Barracuda. Matthias Havlid, we talked about him because he was drafted 17 ranks before Hutson, 17 picks before Hutson. They have Luca Cagnoni, who has good stats. I'm not sure because they don't have what Hutson has.
The most telling thing that he did was in a post-game interview. He was asked about, going to game 7, right? His answer was, hey, more hockey.
Yeah.
This guy's crazy.
Yeah.
He's crazy, Snake, in the best way possible.
And that's rare.
One last thing on him now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say probably the biggest gripe on his game through 2 seasons was his shooting ability.
Mm-hmm.
Shooting a lot more now.
Yes.
The shots, the quality, debatable. He's getting a lot of shots blocked.
Yeah.
Missing the net.
It's not his strength. It's not his strength.
However, it's better. It's going to keep getting better. And he's trusting his shot. They're scheming around his shot as well, right? Obviously, let's say you're on the power play. The opposing penalty kill knows to leave the shot lane open. He's going to pass the puck, right? Now he's actually shooting it, and it's working, Snake. It's been working.
Well, how many goals did he score this year? 11?
I believe.
11. And last year, I don't know, 5, 6.
He had 12 this year,
12.
6 last year. So he doubled.
Okay. Will he reach 2022? I doubt it. But he could be a 85, 90 point player very, very soon. What did he get? 78 this year, I think?
Yep, 78.
I think he could.
It's 4 away.
85, 95 is really possible next year. Yeah. And he could be on, in the prime of his career, he could be you could probably see Makar use type of stats for Hutson, but maybe less goals than Makar.
That's it. But again, the shots on net create rebounds, create deflections. I mean, he's a point per game player in the playoffs. 18 points in 18 career playoff games. That's very telling to
and
me.
It's not just power play points.
Exactly.
Because if you look at the Suzuki, Caulfield, Slavkovsky line at 5-on-5, the stats look miserable.
It's mostly
it's miserable. Whenever you see the names Suzuki and Caulfield and Slavkovsky in the box score, you see PP right after. Yeah.
So that was my last topic when talking about the Montreal Canadiens. Obviously, it's Monday, so that's our focus on Mondays. The first line, I think there are some injuries there that factor into the performance. But what's your concern level? Like, are you at a point where, oh boy, like long term, this might be an issue, or is it more of a bubble thing where you know what, in these playoffs, it's not really clear.
Yeah. Well, I'm not surprised so far. I'm not surprised because I always thought that Nick Suzuki was not an elite 5-on-5 player. He's an elite power play guy. He is. I think he's in the top 5 in scoring in the NHL, and you can see it. Forget the stats. Look at the way he runs the power play, and I mean, Suzuki is elite on the power play. At 5-on-5, not so much. And his fans argue that he does the little things. He's a good defensive player, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, but we're talking about a 100-point player here, and a 100-point player should be more of a play driver. He should be more visible, let's say. And although he's been fine in the playoffs, I don't think he's been bad.
Yeah,
he's not elite at 5-on-5, and that's my point. So for the future, Nick Suzuki is going to be 27. Okay, that's the type of player that he is, and he has some very, very, very good years ahead of him. He never misses games. And I think he has a good probably 5, 6, 7 years left with the Habs where he's going to be where he'll have that status, that type of play. Now, I think all these concerns can be erased with the Habs having a real number 2 line. or even the possibility of having with a full top six of mixing and
interchangeable.
Look at when they removed Slavkovsky and they made him play with Demidov. How great it was. So, but now it's hard to do this because they have 4 top 6 players. They don't have 6 top 6 players. So as long as they don't have 6 top 6 players, Suzuki will have too much on his shoulders to carry. So it's like, okay, Suzuki, now do it. Well, like I say, he's not elite at 5-on-5, but if you have a very good second line, we'll forget about all this, because also Suzuki having less pressure, the opponent will not only focus on him.
There you go. It's easier for them to plan.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
So if you have a second line center, we've discussed Robert Thomas for fun, last winter. Let's say you have a Robert Thomas on the second line. Well, you can't just, your game plan cannot just be, let's stop Suzuki and we're fine, because they have Jake Evans. Okay. With all due respect. I mean, Jake Evans can go up and down the lineup here and there, but he's not a second line center.
Agreed.
And neither is Philippe Danault.
No.
Okay. Although he's fine. He's a fun player, but he's not a second line center. So if you have a great second line center, then I think it would really help Nick Suzuki. And that's why I'm not concerned. And also less expectations.
That's it.
So that's my take on the whole. There's nothing dramatic about it. It's just it's just that right now, center is not. Second line center is probably the Habs' biggest weakness.
Oh, I think everybody agrees on that one.
I mean, everybody's been talking about it for a year. And I think something will happen this summer. I know it's not easy to find available centers. Like Dylan Cousins last year, I think would have been ideal. I think Dylan Cousins to me is the perfect number 2 center, because he's not a number 1 center. He's not a number 3 center, but he can be a number 2 center on almost every team. Almost every team. Except obviously, like when Crosby and Malkin were in their prime, obviously you're going to be the third line center. But I think you get the point. So, but Dylan Cousins was traded for Josh Norris, who was an established player. Buffalo did not want picks and prospects. So maybe the Habs made an offer. But if the offer was picks and prospects, Buffalo said no.
Yeah.
So that's why I say it's not that easy to find this. It's not because, Kent Hughes is just sleepwalking. I mean, no. He's making phone calls. And, when you have a good number 2 center, you keep him, unless you're a team that's going on a rebuild or a team that has a cap crunch. So that's why I was surprised when Robert Thomas was in the trade rumors, because what is St. Louis's direction, really, when you think about it?
Who knows?
They have tons of picks. They traded away players, but they're still not a bad team. And Robert Thomas has 5 years left at $8 million, and he's in his prime. Why would you trade this guy unless you do a full rebuild like San Jose and Chicago did? So all this to say that I think the Habs are gonna actively be looking for a number 2 center, and I think at some point it's gonna happen out of the blue. And something we did not expect. It's going to pop up on July 22nd. While we're all in the swimming pool,
That's it. Listen, we'll do an emergency show when that day happens. But no, I think it's pretty obvious what the hole is. And unfortunately, it's a pretty significant hole, and one that's very hard to fill, because there's about 27 other teams that are looking for that same player. So top end centers are hard to come by. When you have them, you keep them. That's why I never understood the Robert Thomas situation. That to me, they made no sense from the Blues perspective, and they didn't trade him. So anyways, moving along now, before we get to our next topic, which is the CHL playoffs, a quick word from Cheapest T-shirts.
Stop overpaying. Buying t-shirts, hoodies, or blank apparel. Same brands, same products. Lower prices. No minimums. Buy one or 1,000, same price. Fast Canada shipping. Multiple warehouses. Stop overpaying. Visit cheapesttshirts.ca.
As well as a shout out to our friends at Betway, where you could get a deposit matchup bonus up to $300 on your first deposit. You can scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in the details section to create an account and redeem your welcome offer. The offer is only available for new customers. Terms and conditions apply. The offer is not available in Ontario, and you must be 18 years or older. Please play responsibly. Snake, last night, the QMJHL crowned their champion. Les Saguenay de Chicoutimi are your champions in the QMJHL this season. What a team, what a run they've had. They join now the Kitchener Rangers, the Everett Silvertips, and the Kelowna Rockets to fight for the Memorial Cup.
Well, I think we're probably going to do an in-depth preview of the Memorial Cup on Thursday.
Yep.
Because it starts on Friday. But one thing I can say is that the Chicoutimi series was absolutely amazing. It was the best series of the three.
That's what we put.
I really want to congratulate the Saguenay, because in 2022, they started building the team. Yannick Jean, the general manager, started building the team towards with an eye on 2026. And I think a lot of junior teams, that's what they do. 3-4 years ahead, when they bottom out, they're thinking, okay, let's aim for 2026, 2027, 2028. It's kind of a not a cliche, but it's kind of a standard game plan.
Yeah,
in junior hockey, to aim for a certain year that you take 3-4 years to build. And I remember at the time I saw the draft picks they were making, and I'm thinking, Maxime Massé. And then the year after, they got Alex Wong and Émile Guité, Nathan Lecomte. And I'm thinking, wow, this is textbook roster building in junior hockey. It was textbook. And they won. Because not every team who starts this type of, who has that kind of plan, look, many things can make it derail. And now with players going to the NCAA, if you draft a player at 16, hoping that at 19 he's going to score 100 points for you, he might be gone. We saw it with Bécomo and Justin Poirier, who left at age 19. Maxime Massé, by the way, is 19 years old. Age 20, he's going to be playing in the NCAA. Hasn't signed his contract yet with the Anaheim Ducks. Alex Wong, defenseman, going to Harvard next year for his 19-year-old season. But anyway, I really want to congratulate Yannick Jean and his team, because it was... I love seeing build the right way win. I mean, the right way, the way I like, let's say. And they did win. Is it going to be hard in the Memorial Cup? It always is. I mean, Kitchener is going to be well rested. They swept Barrie in the finals. They have a very good team. Everett is very strong with Landon Dupont, Carter Bear. Kelowna, the host team. Look, you never know with the host team. I mean, in the past, some of them have won without being the strongest team. They've had a long break. Who knows? But this year, I think, contrary to last year with the London Knights, there is no powerhouse.
Yeah, London.
So I think it's wide open this year. I think it's wide open. We'll talk about it on Thursday, but I think it's wide open. We'll also talk about the players to follow. Yeah, either future draft prospects or already drafted guys by NHL teams. So full preview on Thursday.
That's it. I'm looking forward to that. And Snake, partially unrelated here because he's not going to be playing in the Memorial Cup, but Carson Carroll's one of the top prospects for this upcoming draft. This coming just through the wire, has committed to North Dakota. So he'll be playing with Keaton Verhoff. Yeah. Ooh, what a blue line.
Yeah, we all assume that both of them will not be playing in the NHL next year.
Yeah.
Carson Carroll's, I don't know if he's a top 4, top 5 pick. Who knows if he won't play in the NHL? Who knows?
Oh, wow.
A weak team could use him. I think he probably would be better off playing another season out of the NHL.
Yeah.
However, because he's a June birthday, so I think just like Verhoff, he's going to be 18 years old. So I think he's better off playing in the NCAA. But I think the year after we'll see him in the NHL.
Yeah, worth mentioning. That's
because it's really heating up now between Carroll's and Chase Reed, perhaps for number 2 pick in San Jose. San Jose will have a very interesting decision to make because there's also Ivar Stenberg in the picture.
What a transition. This guy's a pro. We're going to talk about the World Championships, most specifically Team Sweden, because they have 2 draft-eligible prospects and highly ranked prospects on their team. One of them being, of course, Ivar Stenberg. He's got 2 assists so far in the tournament. The other one, Viggo Bjork, has a goal and an assist. Both have 2 points. What have you made of their tournament so far, and how can that tournament, if it can, affect their draft stock?
Well, when I watch prospects at the World Hockey Championships, and there are not many of them, there's actually, I would say, 3 serious prospects this year. Albert Smits for Latvia and the 2 Swedish guys, Bjork and Stenberg. I always watch them against teams with a majority of NHL players. So, you know, with all due respect, if they score 6 points against France, well, I take it with a grain of salt. Yeah. So last Friday, the Sweden was playing Canada. And it was interesting to watch those 2 players because they were on the same line with Lucas Raymond. You know, an established, we can say, NHL star. Not superstar, but star.
Oh, yeah.
And Bjork was playing center. Stenberg was playing left wing. And Lucas Raymond was playing right wing. And I think they had a good game. I don't think they were dominant, however, but they really held their own well.
Yeah.
Viggo Bjork is a small guy. And at some point, the commentator, I don't know if it was like Gord Miller or Craig Button or whoever is there right now covering, said, well, instead of 5'9", if the 5 was a 6, okay, the guy would be in the conversation for number 1 overall.
Yeah.
Okay. I think they might exaggerate a little bit when they say that, but I do think that if Viggo Bjork was like 6 foot tall, that he'd probably be a serious top 5 contender.
That's it.
Yeah. Now,
if he was 6'9", I mean, it probably would move as well.
But, 6'1", yeah. But I think considering him like for number 1 overall, I think is a little bit exaggerated. But I do think that this guy has good potential for the NHL, even at 5'9". Now, is he going to play center? Is he going to play wing? Because look at Marco Rossi. Marco Rossi is a 5'9" centerman. I think he's fine, but he's not a big impact player. So I think Bjork probably, I don't know where he'll end up on my list, but I think with the NHL guys, depending on his tournament and how he performs against NHL players, I think he'd go anywhere between 8 and 15 because he is highly talented in a draft that lacks high-end talent, I would say. I mean, it really dries up very quickly. And so that's where we are. As for Stenberg, he was fine. He's the Stenberg we expect in the NHL. He's a tough player. He has a lot of I would say tools in his box, but he's not a flashy, necessarily highly skilled player either.
Yeah,
but I think he's probably the one whose career path is the easiest to predict. And I think the team he ends up on, the role that he gets, will have an influence on what kind of career he'll have. Of course, if he ends up, playing the wing with Acklin Celebrini, it's better than if he goes to Vancouver and they rely on him to be the cornerstone of the franchise.
That's it.
Because he's not a cornerstone. But so I think so far so good. It's going to be hard for Toronto to not take McKenna, because of the upside. And I know some might say, well, he's another Mitch Marner. Well, Mitch Marner was pretty darn good.
He's leading the playoffs in points.
Yeah. Which is something that for 9 years he was told he couldn't do, which is play well in the playoffs. So I think it's going to be hard because the upside for a guy like Stenberg, and it really struck me watching him against NHL players. And I know he's just 18 years old, but you can see certain things and you're thinking, okay, this is not a potential 100-point player, but he's going to be a darn good guy. Good player. For sure, he's going to be in my top 3. And if he ends up in Chicago at number 4, which is highly possible, because I think that San Jose could go with a defenseman, and Vancouver is probably going to take Malhotra. Caleb Malhotra. Then if Stenberg ends up in Chicago with Frondel and Bedard and all the other guys that are coming, I think it's going to be a perfect complement to these guys.
That'd be quite the line. Anyways, the draft ramps up and the discussions are going to ramp up as well as we get closer to June 27th. But we're still on playoff mode for now. All those draft buffs, take your patience here. Okay. We're going to get to it pretty soon. Snake, it is now time to go digging in the mailbag. Three great questions in the queue today. The first one coming from Louis David Rondeau. With the Canadiens already having a lot of offensive defensemen, do you think Bryce Pickford could ultimately be more valuable as part of a larger trade package to acquire that true second-line center to play alongside Ivan Demidov? I'd love to hear both of your thoughts on that. Well, the reigning WHL MVP, Bryce Pickford, had himself quite the season, so people are screaming. Yeah.
When you have an asset like Pickford, you kind of wonder: is he right now? Is his value at the highest ever right now, or will he gain more value if he performs well in Laval next year? Okay, if he scores 20 goals in Laval next year, his value is going to be even higher. I've mentioned on the show, I've teased on the show, my idea of making him a winger in the Habs organization.
Yeah.
Depending on how it turns out on defense, because I do think that he has things to improve defensively before he can be an NHL player. And you have to find an identity for this guy because he's not a puck mover either. So, and I know it sounds strange because the guy has 45 goals on defense, a thing that,
he's a pure scorer.
Who's ever done that? I mean, Brian Fogarty, I remember, at 47. I mean, maybe in the 1970s, there was a couple of guys who scored 50. But look, 45 goals on defense is, even if you're 19 years old, is absolutely incredible. So I think he could be part of a trade package, to answer the question. Obviously, not just him. But it would be for a team that probably is hungry for offensive defensemen and who's taking a chance that Pickford's production in the WHL will translate well to the NHL. To me, he's a wild card, this guy.
It's hard to pinpoint.
Sometimes career patterns are easier to predict than others. Like I just said about Stenberg. But Bryce Pickford, to me, it's like, wow, what's going to happen next year?
Yeah.
What kind of role will he have in Laval? Will he score goals at the same pace? Will he not? Will he play well defensively? Will he not? So, but of course, I think when you trade prospects, you have to trade from a position of strength.
Of course.
Because and that was the problem with the Habs before. It was hard for the Habs to make trades, 10, 15 years ago, because they were the prospect pool was very slim. So if you got rid of one guy, you were creating a hole elsewhere. I think if they trade Bryce Pickford right now, they don't create any holes.
No.
So he is a possibility as trade bait.
That's it. You have Lane Hutson, you have Noah Dobson. That can carry the offense there from the back end. So, of course, a player like Bryce Pickford is enticing, and it's exciting as well. A goal-scoring defenseman of his caliber, that's hard to come by. But at the same time, Snake, you've mentioned maybe some potential deficiencies that would prevent him from making it to the NHL. And I think we're really going to get a good understanding
And Laval.
in Laval, but also of the Montreal Canadiens' internal evaluation.
Yeah.
Right. If they do trade him this summer for a bigger package, of course, that's going to tell us that internally they didn't think that he could reach that upside. You know, the deficiencies were too big to overcome, right? But on the other hand, if they keep him, let's say they do make a big trade and they include, just throwing it out there, like an Adam Engstrom, right? Another high-profile defensive prospect, that means that they do see something special in Bryce Pickford and they want to see him in Laval. So I think we're really going to get an answer on him this summer as to what the organization thinks of him. But I think, the Habs are at a point now where almost every prospect, runs the risk of being traded.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they're a top 5 team in the league. They're proving it right now.
Just like Vegas kept trading their first round picks.
So being that close to being a contender, that's when you usually see a little more of a push.
Yeah.
So we'll see that from Kent Hughes this summer. Question number 2. This one coming from JP Marcoux. Should the Leafs make it a priority to trade their assets to the Boston Bruins and Philadelphia Flyers in order to reclaim their 2027 and 2028 first-round picks and fully commit to a rebuild? Great show, guys. Thank you, JP.
This is brilliant. Wow. Because we've been talking about how the Leafs could rebuild with no first-round picks in the next couple of years. And they were kind of stuck because they would have to improve the team right away so that they don't give away high draft picks next year. But then the rebuild would have to start at some point. So it's like, okay, is there a way out of this? Well, maybe JP found a way out of it.
Now, my only asterisk is what do they have to trade to get a first-round pick in return?
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. But the only teams that they could actually do trades with are Boston and Philadelphia, because that's the only way they can recuperate those picks. Otherwise, they can't. Let's say you trade Austin Matthews to, I don't know, Utah.
Yeah.
Okay, you'll get some good young players who can help right away. You'll get a first-round pick for sure. Yeah, but the 20th pick overall? How can you get those picks back? And if you don't make trades and you try and improve the team, you might give away the 12th pick overall to Philadelphia or Boston. But then, you're running on a treadmill when you start a rebuild, and you have Gavin McKenna.
Yeah.
So I think this is the only solution. This is the only way out. Now, who could they trade? Well, they have Nylander, they have Austin Matthews, and obviously if they trade these guys to Boston and Philadelphia and get the first round picks in return, for sure, they're going to sink next year.
Oh, yeah, that's the goal. I mean, if you're going to get the first round picks back, you want to be bad.
So for Boston and Philadelphia, the idea, and there are two teams who made the playoffs this year. They're not rebuilding teams. They are, I would say they're not there yet, but they're not rebuilding. They're kind of building. So for a team like Boston and Philadelphia, would it be enticing for Boston, who came very close to get the 6th pick this year from Toronto, but they didn't? Would it be enticing for them to not risk just getting the 12th pick or the 10th pick and say, hey, we'll take Nylander?
Of course.
He's under contract for many years.
It would cost more than the first round pick. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but then again, that first round pick can be very valuable. If Toronto wants to, look, in the sense that Toronto doesn't have much leverage.
Listen, he has chemistry with Pasternak. I think
don't have
Bruins
much
fans excited here, but
this is the only way they can recoup their first round picks is by making trades with Boston and Philly. I tell you, JP, you should send your CV to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Maybe John Chaika will hire you because but forget it. He's firing everybody now, all the assistant GMs, bringing up all his friends probably. But he should at least hire JP as a consultant.
My God, if they do
this is the only way. And I tell you, JP, I'm going to use your question. I'm going to quote you in my French podcast because I've been thinking about the Toronto Maple Leafs night and day.
Poor you, Snake. What
That's
do you
not
do to
true.
yourself?
That's not true. But I've been asked a lot about this situation. What would you do? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm stuck. No, you're not stuck. You negotiate with Boston and Philadelphia.
My God. Did you imagine that?
Question of the year, JP. Question of the year.
JP's on fire. Listen, that's that hype, just thinking about it, man. Like John Chayka. Wow. Listen, the Leafs are going to be an interesting story this offseason. We know that already, but yeah. Nylander to Boston, Matthews to Philly to get their first round picks back and fully rebuild around McKenna. Oh my God. Anyways, that's hockey, baby. Love it. I love it. All right. Last question of the day. This one is coming from Pelagian Skeleton. Super crazy scenario mailbag question. Dude, you're starting off right. This gets me excited. We're in the future. 2028-29 campaign is about to start, and you need to send your list of protected players to the league. What would be your list if Michael Hage, Alexander Zurovsky, David Reinbacher, and Jacob Fowler are eligible to be poached? His list would be Suzuki, Caulfield, Slavkovsky, Demidov, Hage, Newhook, and Zurovsky, Hutson, Dobson, Reinbacher, and Fowler. Now, the follow-up to that is, if this is the list that the Habs do go with, would the Habs make a deal, assuming Atlanta is the expansion or Houston, whatever it may be, to keep Goulet and Dobesh?
Okay. I think that Habs fans have to hope that expansion is for 2028, although I really doubt it. It's too early. Because the scenario that we have here, I think assumes that expansion would be for 28-29. And during the summer, you have to post your eligible list. Well, Hage and Zurovsky would not have to be protected. For the good and simple reason that Zurovsky, even if he burns a year next year, let's say he plays one game at the end of the year, his contract entry-level contract will run through 28-29, and then he needs to be protected for the 29-30 season. Alex Zurovsky will be playing in the KHL next year.
Yeah.
So again, it's 1 year after. It would be like for 2030, 2031. So I don't think the Habs have to be worried about this situation. I think it's at forward. I think it's on defense that it becomes interesting. The Goulet thing, that's 3 years down the road, 2-3 years down the road. I think at some point, you're going to lose a good player. And it's been proven by Vegas that a lot of teams now, they learned their lesson with Seattle. It's like, you take my guy. I don't care. There's nothing I can do. So trying to overthink the whole thing and, I want to keep Goulet. I'm going to give them this. I'm going to give them that. What if, how old will Goulet be at the time, first of all? Probably in his late 20s. Is he going to be injured or not? I'm not saying I wouldn't keep him. I'm just saying that I'm going with the scenario where they protect Hudson, Dobson, and Reinbacher, which they would have to protect. You can also protect 4 defensemen and 4 forwards. But then again, if you only protect 4 forwards, I don't know. You're going to have to let go of a forward. Because it's either going to be 7-3-1, or it's going to be 4 forwards, 4 defensemen, 1 goalie, if the rules are the same as for Seattle and Vegas. So can you bring back the forward section? Yeah. So let's say they protect Suzuki, Caulfield, Slavkovsky, and Demidov. Hage and Zurovsky, you don't have to worry. Yeah. And they want to protect Caden Goulet. Then you have to let go of Alex Newhook. So it's either going to be Goulet or Newhook. Considering that the roster would stay the same, which it won't.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that if we were in 29-30 and not 28-29, but 29-30 right now, 28-29, I'm sorry, just like our reader said, then that would be the scenario. Either Goulet or Newhook is gone. Now, if Goulet or Newhook is gone, then they're okay with goalies. because it's only one player per team that you can lose, isn't it?
Yeah. Unless they bring in 2 new teams at the same time.
Yes, exactly. Then it would be 2 players.
Yeah.
Now, the follow-up question. Dobesh, again, 2-3 years in the world of goalies is like an eternity. An eternity. So right now, I can't answer that question.
Yeah.
If I'm trying to keep Dobesh and Foul, what's going to happen with the other guys? You know, the Cournoyer and Vorokin and all these guys that were drafted by the Habs. It's way too early to think about this. But right now, as we speak, if we were in 28-29, nothing changes. It's Goulet, Newhook, or one of the goalies that, or Dobesh, let's say. Goalies, Newhook, or Dobesh is one player of the 3 for sure you're going to lose.
That's it.
You know what I would say? Unless the asking price is reasonable, I would say just take your guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You don't want to do like what Florida did to keep Alex Petrovich, and they gave away Riley Smith and Marchessault, and no, you don't want to do that.
The Ducks asked Vegas to take Shea Theodore. How'd that turn out? Anyways,
yeah, no, Shea Theodore, yeah, exactly.
I think
you don't want to get into this.
Yeah.
And
I guess you're hoping that they draft the way that Seattle drafted, because woof, talk about a bad expansion draft. You remember who they took from Montreal? I remember. Cale Fleury.
It was Cale Fleury. He played a few games, yeah. But there wasn't much to take from Montreal. But I think the Habs were not really in danger of losing a good player.
Yeah.
But it goes to show you.
I remember when the protection list came out for Seattle, and Carey Price wasn't protected and Jake Allen was.
Yeah.
That was the talk of the town. Oh my God, Seattle's going to take Price. Anyways.
Well, because Price, I think, only played a couple of games afterwards for Montreal, and he retired. So I think they knew. But you know why I would have taken Carey Price if I had been Seattle?
Name recognition?
Nope. Salary cap floor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, $10 million.
Yeah, because in my book, they had, 4 or 5 years left of Price, because the deal is ending this year. So they had 5 years left of Price. 21, 22, 23. Yeah, 5 years left.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, okay, this is a 5 to 7 year building plan, in my opinion. We're going to finish last for like 3-4 years in a row. We're going to get the high draft picks, and we're going to pull a Chicago, basically. And you know how Chicago and San Jose, they kept getting these bad contracts. San Jose did with Carey Price. Yeah. Not bad contracts, but injured player contracts.
Shea Weber is technically a Chicago Blackhawk.
Shea Weber. I think it ends this year also for Shea Weber. I think it's the end. That contract has been like being bounced around. So I think had I been Seattle, this is what I would have done. I would have just taken care of Price. It's symbolic also. He was from the area. And look, if he plays a couple of games at the end of the year like he did for the Habs, why not? It has some entertainment value. But mainly salary cap floor.
That's it.
$10.5 million on the salary cap that you don't have to worry about. No.
Good point.
They signed Oleksiak and Adam Larson long term. Well, we're going to be competitive. They were. They even beat the Colorado Avalanche one round.
Lightning in a bottle. Whatever.
That's lightning in a bottle. But they were never able to get the Bedards, the Celebrinis. Too bad for them. What can I say?
Yeah.
They hired Ron Francis.
Shot themselves in the foot there. Yeah. You know what I think of.
Oh, I know you do.
Kraken's management. So listen, that'll be a topic for another show. I know that for a fact. But for now, Snake, I think we've covered it all on this Monday. We're getting everybody prepared for Game 7 tonight. You'll want to tune into the pregame show. Habs tonight, myself, Pierre Maguire, Brandon Legacy, maybe some special guests. You'll just have to tune in to find out. We go live at 6:30. We end at 7:30. We bring you into the game, and Tony's live right afterwards. So we've got you covered on the coverage for tonight's game. And Snake's got an episode coming out, not tomorrow, but Wednesday, about Game 7, maybe about the next series. Who knows? Mathias et le Serpent is where you can find that one. Snake, anything else to add before we get out of here?
No, looking forward to Thursday previewing the semifinals.
Yeah.
Or a Habs recap of the season. Memorial Cup, World Championships, prospects. Let's have fun.
Oh, yeah. We always do. Do. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you're not subscribed yet, hit that button, hit the notification bell so you are notified when we upload a new episode. And hit the thumbs up if you like the show. It means a lot to us, and it helps the algorithm push the show as well. For Simon, the Snake Bavaya, I'm producer Shayne. This has been another edition of the Sick Podcast. Trust the process. We'll see you Thursday. Take care.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast, Trust the Process on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.